Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to continue our look at Journey, The Adventures of Wolverine MacAlistaire, written and drawn by William Messner Loebs. We're up to number 12 through 16, which we're going to look at today. But first, I wanted to kind of backtrack. This is kind of embarrassing to even admit, but I don't know if you guys remember from earlier Journey videos where I mentioned how I looked up my shelves one day when I was getting ready to make the second video, and Journey number 5 through 7, which I thought I had owned since I was, 20-something, they weren't there. And I was just like, oh shit, how can I make the second video? I called up my friend in a Hazarai, and I was just like, James, can you order me this on your Amazon? I need it as quick as possible. I got to make this video. So I got the second graphic novel, which reprints those. Just last week, that was maybe a month and a half ago. Just last week, I'm at my desk. There's a pile of comics. I kind of pile things up here like, oh, this is on deck. I'm going to make a video for this. They were fucking right there. I guess I had taken them off a week or two earlier and put them on the desk, then forgot I had done that. So I just wanted to point that out to show that this channel might not last for much longer. I think I'm getting dotty. I'm in my dotage. But I wanted to show off the covers because the graphic novels don't reprint a lot of the material in these. So number 5, beautiful watercolor William Messner Loebs cover. Note from the publisher. I don't need to show that off, sorry. And there's some backup material that's not in the books either. So let's get to that real quick. We got the letter pages. And this is kind of interesting. It's a drawing of Wolverine and Fitzhugh. Pencils by William Messner Loebs. Inks by Dave Sim. That's not reprinted either. And we have another beautiful back cover. Next we have number 6. Want to show off that cover. And let's get to the backup stuff. This one has an ad for a bookstore that William Messner Loebs drew, so it's almost like getting a little pinup. And this is a cute little story. It's called Deadline, and it's basically a little behind-the-scenes story about Bill and Nadine, the Loebs, the Messner Loebs. It's cute, It's them. We realize, though, Nadine does a lot of stuff. Like, she puts on the stencils, and not the stencils, the zip-a-tone. She rules the borders. She does all the business. She does the letter pages. So she really, and she edits the whole thing, too, when it's done. So it's a little cute little strip. Pretty sure it's all drawn by William. Letter pages, some fan art, pin-up by Chuck Beckham, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, went on to work for Eclipse Comics. I think he even drew some of those Miracle Bands, unless I'm thinking of another Chuck something. Chuck Beecham? I don't know. We have a Larry Martyr drawing, kind of a fan letter / sketch of Being World characters. And this is kind of cool. There's this guy, Bill Bryan, who makes his own dolls and custom dolls. And he made a Wolverine one. And it's got movable joints, real fur in the costume. Kind of interesting. Looks pretty good. And another nice back cover of BK. And number 7. Let's get to the backup material. Fan art in the letter page. Really bad fan art. Oh, wow, that's rare. Just a 1 page of letters. And another back cover. So I just wanted to show those off because those back covers are really nice. And the front covers are really nice. And they're not in the graphic novels. Now let's get down to the main story. Number 12. So this is kind of the beginning of a 5-part story. And kind of interesting cover. Not my favorite cover of Journey. I don't know if he maybe just read Love and Rockets, wanted to show off all his characters like Jaime and Gilbert like to do. But we start off with the commandant. And I always forget this guy's name, but let me look at this little thing here. His name's Lenore. He's the one who runs Fort Miami. He's talking to his second in command, the Lieutenant Van Pelt. And Van Pelt does not like Lenore at all. He kind of wants to seize power from him if he can. And also doesn't like the fact that he's spending time with Madame Kiefer, the German probably a widow, but we still don't know. In fact, not a spoiler alert because we already found out her husband is still alive, but nobody knows it. He's presumed dead. So she's been hanging out with him. They're getting a little cozy. And Van Pelt does not like it. So now we're introduced to all the characters. Well, not introduced. We've seen all these characters the past, 5 issues or so. We see Calico Jack. We see the writer, Mr. Kraft, and the lieutenant is going around, basically asking everyone if they know anything about Tecumseh or this Indian insurrection, which is being murmured about. And so the main thrust of this storyline is the rise of Tecumseh. If you don't know, Tecumseh was a great Native American hero who tried to unite all the Indians against the white man. And he was right. I mean, basically he was like, guys, we keep fighting amongst each other. They're killing us all, which they did. We got to unite and make our own little pocket here where we can live. But, just there was so much petty rivalries and old hatreds with these tribes that not enough joined, and he was defeated. Now we finally see our hero Wolverine, and he's lazing around in a canoe. I love this, how he has a frog on his hat to eat all the flies to keep him away from his face. It's a brilliant idea. And he sees that wolf that's always eating his food, and he stands up in his canoe. He's going to take a shot at it with his rifle, but then he conks his head on a branch and falls in the water. Man, that's a pretty crappily drawn wolf. Now back to the fort. The lieutenant is talking to Mr. Kraft. And then he talks to Luther Burke, the revolutionary, who is now basically a kitchen worker. Doesn't get much information from him, but we do see a little cameo of Fitzhugh. So we realize he's going to be part of the story. Excuse me, guys. Had to take a little water break. So, back to Wolverine. He realizes that this is a very bendy river. And he's like, okay, that canoe's gone, but I might be able to cut across the land here and intercept it. I really like this layout here, how he shows us just like the layout, the stage of this coming action sequence. We can get a feel of like, oh yeah, that's a long shot, but maybe he can make it. And he starts running. So now we see Marie, the kitchen worker at the fort, who we already found out, it's not a spoiler, she's in charge of the insurrection. She's basically totally in alliance with Tecumseh. Everyone just thinks she's this kind of simple Christian, she's been Europeanized. So nobody suspects her at all. She actually tells him, though, she explains Tecumseh to him. She says, oh no, actually Tecumseh is basically preaching that he wants all the Native Americans to become Christians and take up farming and, basically be good Indians, as they used to call them. She even gives him this memory stick, which has little hieroglyphs on it. And she explains it to him and says, see, this is what Tecumseh is asking for. This is what he wants for our people. It's a total lie, of course. Now we see Calico Jack kind of quietly debating with Marie. And he's not going along with this whole insurrection. It's not like he's against his people. He just doesn't like Marie's methods because Marie basically is really radicalized. I mean, her cause is very just. I mean, the Europeans are killing all the Native Americans. Of course, we should unite and fight back. But she also has this thing about, like, oh, and if any Native Americans don't go along 100%, we're going to kill them too. So Calico Jack doesn't like that part. It's almost like he's trying to reason with her, but she's not listening. The lieutenant comes back to Lenoir's offices and explains the memory stick to Lenoir. Totally wrong. It's the way Marie told him. So it kind of appeases Lenoir. He's like, okay, maybe this Tecumseh isn't such a threat. Back to Wolverine. What William Eisner Loebs does best, these just great fun pages of Wolverine frantically just running through this forest trying to catch his canoe, falling flat in his face. And now we see Marie. She's addressing her cohorts. Calico Jack is listening in behind a tree. And she actually explains what the memory totem really means. All those things that she told Van Pelt, the lieutenant, is the exact opposite. This tells the Native Americans to kill all the Europeans, kill all the fellow Native Americans who don't support them, and they'll regain a homeland. I didn't quite understand this, how I can't imagine a forest so thick that you can't run around a tree. So Wolverine's got to like climb up these trees and scramble through these branches. It's pretty exciting though. It adds to the drama, but I was just like, what kind of forest is this? We're just a wall of trees? There's no space in between them. So here's this, back to the meeting with Marie. As they disperse, it turns out BK was in a barrel the whole time. And Fitzhugh was there, but Fitzhugh already knows about this. We saw that a couple issues ago, or maybe last issue. And back to Wolverine. Really fun stuff. Him swinging from branches, and he sees his canoe. Back to the fort. We see Calico Jack. He's in his cups, and he's attacked by a bunch of Native Americans. Like, they're out for blood. They're trying to kill him. But Calico Jack's tough as fuck. And he beats them off. Oh, that didn't sound right. He beats them up. And then we go back to Wolverine, and he safely lands in his canoe. He made it. And the frog's still there. So I think we've seen these little kids before, but there's these half native, half European kids running around this fort. And they're usually just used as comic relief. They just pop up in a panel being cute, whatever. And so that's the end of the first chapter. I didn't mention this, but Jim Austin is now in charge of lettering. And it's not a good thing. He's not terrible. But I think lettering was so important to Journey. Not as important as lettering is to Cerebus, but it was really distinct and great. And I can tell it's just not as good. Now we have this little kind of secondary story, and I'm pretty sure this is a framing device, completely made by William Eisner Loebs, because it looks just like him. We see some of those half kids, those Hapa kids, and the female one tells a story. And this is basically just an excuse so this other artist could fill out the back pages of Journey. The Witch of Dragonwick, and is a tale of Wolverine. He meets an old witch in the woods. I thought this was funny. They draw the old witch just like the EC old witch. And this witch sicks a dragon on Wolverine. He runs. And the thing is, the witch is like so like shitty to the dragon. She's just like, come on, you stinking mess of snake guts, get him. That the dragon turns around and says, fuck you, and kills her. Wolverine keeps running, though. The dragon still wants to get him. And so Wolverine finds dynamite and throws a stick down the dragon's gullet and kills him. This is by Jim Miller, writer and penciler. But Mesner Loebs does the inks. It's not the worst thing that's in these backup pages. We're going to see much worse pretty soon. And then here's the last framing page. We got the letter pages again. Jim Valentino and William Mesner Loebs collaborating on this like Normalman Wolverine mashup. Some more bad fan art. There you go. Another Larry Martyr sketch. And then the new letterer kind of drew this comic terribly. Like an introduction page. Kind of saying, hi readers, it's me. Man, this is just hard to look at. It's like bad 70s fanzine art or 80s. Unfortunately, no back cover, even though this ad has a pretty beautiful drawing by William Mesner Loebs. So let me see where I was. I got a little confused here with my pile. So number 13 is next. And this is a weird issue. It's a oversize, and it's a crossover with Jim Valentino's Normalman. I gotta say, I think this issue is a total misstep. Kind of a wasted issue. It's not terrible. It's still got Wolverine. He's got a few good lines. We start off, Wolverine's asleep. This Native American guy comes up, and we realize from his thoughts alone that he's not a bad guy. I gotta stop, guys. I need anyone who has knowledge of this. This cannot be William Mesner Loebs. I'm positive he has someone doing backgrounds for him. Maybe it's Nadine. But in the past few issues, man, it's so different. He was drawing those great expressionistic trees, and now this crappy... All the backgrounds, most of them don't look very good anymore. And I know it's not him. But he never says, oh yeah, I'm having help with my backgrounds. Back to the story. We can tell from this Native American's thoughts that he's not an evil man. He says, oh, it would be cowardly to slit this guy's throat in his sleep. I would never do that. But I could take his guns. But of course, not from Wolverine MacAlistaire, the king of the frontiersmen. He wakes up with a knife, just puts a knife right in the Indian's face. Oh, God, guys, sorry. Look, it's terrible. And pretty much he says, you're not going to hold a grudge against the guy just getting some wampum. So I just want to score some wampum. And Wolverine admits that he's done it too. So pretty quickly, these guys kind of become chummy. And they start talking about the whole Tecumseh thing. Tecumseh basically has promised to take away the sun. And they're chatting about that. And then there's a little flashback when... I guess the year before there was an earthquake, and Wolverine talks, we have the flashback here, and all of a sudden, this figure fell out of the sky and lands right on Wolverine. It's Normalman. I guess there was a dimensional rift because of the tremors, something. It's not really explained. I guess it doesn't really need to be. And I'm pretty sure these are all drawn by Jim Valentino, the Normalman figures. And, of course, Wolverine thinks he's crazy by the way he's talking. And Normalman's whole shtick is he's basically, like, thinks everything's a superhero thing. So he's like, someone has obtained an earthquake ray. But it's just an earthquake. But that's how he interprets everything. More tremors. I kind of like that how the panels were askew, showing the tremors, you know. So basically it's just them chatting away. And then Normalman fizzles out of existence. That Native American guy shows up. I can't remember if he's even named. And Normalman pops back up. Fizzles back in. It's a pretty nice page here, just art-wise. So that's all this issue is pretty much. It's just like, I don't know, banter. It's not terrible. It's kind of some fun banter between these two disparate characters. We find out that Normalman's not bad at being a frontiersman. He's pretty decent at fishing. And so it's almost like a friendship is growing between all these guys. Normalman is put on guard duty at night, and he thinks he sees a bear and he fires at it. The other guys are pretty skeptical. They're just like, it probably wasn't a bear. It's probably just an owl. I do like this character, though. The way he draws him very cartoonily. I hope he appears again. I can't remember. I haven't read these in so long. So that's all this is, guys. I'm going to kind of rush through this one. It's, I don't know why he felt the need to do this. He's in the middle of telling this really great, intriguing story, and kind of puts it on hold for this. And then at the end, just as Wolverine is kind of really warmed up to him, and he's just like, you're pretty good at fishing and this frontier stuff. It's been a while since I've had a partner, but I think this could be a good thing. We could be partners for a while. And he doesn't even realize it, but Norman's fizzling out, and he's just talking to himself, it looks like, with some really crappy backgrounds in the back. Once again, we have another framing device type backup. And nice art. It's that, I always forget this guy's name, Jimmy Acorn or something. That crazy guy. And he stumbles over what looks like a time capsule. Not from that time. And inside is a comic book. A few pages of comics. So it's just William Ezra Loeb's wanted to give this guy a shot. Give him some pages. It's called I'm J.B. Space by Randy Zimmerman. Looks like this guy maybe has read some Ken Macklin comics by the design. But it's pretty throwaway, this whole thing. It's trying to be funny, I guess. Kind of space opera, sci-fi, humorous comic. This guy's not the worst, but this is just a waste of pages. And there's the end of the framing sequence. Great William Ezra Loeb's art, so I guess it's a nice excuse to get two pages extra of William Ezra Loeb's. We got the letter pages again. We got this one-page strip by a guy named Bill Bryan. I'm sorry, that's the guy who made the dolls from last issue. And not bad. Not good, but not great. But this guy looks like he could have maybe been a good artist if he kept going. Little photo essay. A lot of these pages are just wasted. But we do get a nice back cover. Okay, number 14. Kind of a striking cover, kind of different. And I guess this one, there's a fog everywhere. And Wolverine wakes up kind of grousing about it. He doesn't like the fog. Kind of pisses him off. Hard to start a fire. You can't see anything. We see BK reciting a letter to his mother, transcribed by Mr. Kraft. I guess BK's illiterate. And now we meet this guy. I can't remember his name. He's an Iroquois Indian who kind of works for Tecumseh. Or not necessarily works for him, but he's almost like a diplomat. He's going from region to region, trying to enlist people in Tecumseh's movement. So he's at this tribe, and the chief basically says, I don't think it's going to go over well here, but I'll give you a meeting. We'll have a council meeting tonight, and you can address them. And he's kind of like smirking, like, oh, this guy's going to get fried. This is not going to go well. Back to Lenoir, chatting with BK, more about the Tecumseh stuff. He's worried about the fort, its safety, if the Native Americans all do get together. And then he leaves the room, and Madame Kiefer kind of unloads on BK. Kind of says, yeah, I think I'm falling in love with this guy, this Lenoir. He's a Catholic, I'm a Protestant. He's kind of blasphemous and wild. And I'm very, faithful. to my religion, but it sounds like she's obviously fallen for this guy. I love this though. Like, BK doesn't have a fucking clue. He's just like, oh, okay. I guess she just wanted to vent. Back to Wolverine. Oh, just for a page. Now we're back to that diplomat. He's addressing the council, and these guys do not like the Iroquois at all. The Iroquois fucked with them many a time, and they've made him false promises. So everyone's just yelling at him and chewing him out. The chief is kind of loving it. He's just like, hee hee. So Calico Jack is still getting attacked by, and he knows they're under orders from Marie. So he keeps like confronting her. It's not like he tries to kill her or anything or tries to hurt her, but he's still kind of debating with her, trying to convince her that, like, you know, like, you're going about this the wrong way. You know, this whole Tecumseh thing might not work out. Maybe you should just stop this. But Marie's not hearing it. Part of me thinks there's a fog in this issue because William Mesner Lopes was behind in deadlines. Because it does give him an excuse to draw less backgrounds. So the tensions between Lenoir and Lieutenant Van Pelt are kind of coming to a boil. Van Pelt is just totally does not like him. Really dislikes his kind of girlfriend, even though I don't think they've done anything yet. But and he's basically like, we gotta fight, you know, march against these Indians. He's the militaristic one. Lenoir's more the diplomat. He's like, let's see what happens. We don't really have the information. Let's not be rash. This is interesting. In the fog, he sees all these shapes. He sees Crawfish and Sparrow from a few issues ago. He even sees Normalman. And then he sees his mother. And she says, did he hurt ye, laddie? He's a hard man, but he dinna can help that. Sorry about that bad accent. So we get a little clue. The father sounds like he kind of abusive. So we get little clues here and there. And then the wolf shows up and knocks Wolverine off his feet. He doesn't even care because Wolverine's just like, mother. So I don't know if they ever talk about this. I haven't read past these issues. So back to the diplomat trying to convince the council. It looks like they're about to string him up. And he says, wait, what if I could prove to you Tecumseh's power? He said he's going to steal the sun from the sky to show how powerful he is. And he's thinking, oh man, I hope this wasn't supposed to happen tomorrow. Because of course he doesn't even know. And it actually happens. It was a total solar eclipse. Everyone's freaking out. I don't know, I thought in 1811 people knew what eclipses were, right? I thought. Science had figured that out by then. But everyone's acting like, oh, Tecumseh was right. I mean, one of them does say, well, the fact that he predicted it. But I think even then they could predict solar eclipses. I don't know. Who knows? And then we end on this kind of a somber note. Everyone's freaking out. And they say, what can we do? We must do something. And Lenoir just says, wait for the light and be glad we're not alone. And we see Wolverine far away looking up at the same solar eclipse. Kind of like that black page. Letter pages. I believe this is... I think this is William Mesner Lopes drawing the Spirit punching Wolverine. A little fan art here. This is a treat. I totally forgot about this. In Search of Wild Journeys by Sam Keith, 1984. I'm pretty sure this might be one of the earliest published things by Sam Keith. And he's already pretty good. He's already seems like he's on his way. And this is kind of funny. It's about a guy who's like, all these plants that are comics. And he's like, the rare journey. I've got to pluck it. But I must continue my journey because I can't find journey number 1. And we get this back cover of Wolverine, Lost in the Fog. Next, we have number 15, and this is the first Fantagraphics issue. You can already kind of see a design change. I think the design is so much better at Fantagraphics. The letter pages look better. Everything, all the extra material looks nicer. Really striking cover. I like this. And I don't know how many months there was between, the last AV issue and this one, but it seems like his art has changed quite a bit. And look at these backgrounds, which could be someone else still, but they're way better. So I don't know if like Gary Groth and Kim Thompson were like, you got to do something about that shit before we publish you. But we have an introduction from Gary Groth, our players. We have all these, who the characters are. And we finally see Mr. Kiefer. And he's looking for, oh, God damn it, I forgot his name, Deathy guy. Fitzhugh. They become friends. And he's basically like, we've got to tell the settlers at Fort Miami what's going on, because they know about this whole insurrection. But he's like, I need you, Fitzhugh. I can't do it alone. Now we see these Fort Miami guys all kind of kibitzing, talking about how, yeah, Lenoir, he's Van Pelt's got to take over. The only way we're going to fight these Indians back is with Lieutenant Van Pelt. Look how much more detailed the art is. I don't know what's going on, but it's the change to Fantagraphics. It's like he purposefully made the comic a little different in certain ways. I think it looks great. For some reason, I love this running gag of how everything that Kraft writes, he has to put the word squamish in it. He loves that word. Oh, the squamish shadow cuts off our lifelight. So, Lieutenant Van Pelt puts this guy on guard duty. And he's out there one night. He fires. He thinks he sees some enemy. And then he's riddled with arrows. Pretty gruesome little short sequence there. They find him the next day. Everyone's like, oh, shit. Because that damn eclipse, now the Native Americans are just like riled up. Marie's still there, just hanging out, totally unsuspected. I love her character. And the thing is, for the most part, she's kind of right. But I guess maybe she should have been so extreme about it. So basically, these guys have finally compared notes. Calico Jack has admitted he knows the whole thing. BK's there. Those little kids know. And basically, Calico Jack says, yeah, I think I'm going to wait to join sides to see which one's winning. So one of the guys who attacked Calico Jack, he had this weird Native American wooden blade, which has holes in it. So when it goes inside you, the guts kind of fill in the holes. So when you yank it out, it yanks the guts out. So he saved it. I love that kind of stuff in Journey where they just kind of give us some like cool lore, like from the frontier times. I've never heard of that kind of knife. Marie meets with her cohorts and she basically says, we got to take care of Calico Jack immediately. So, Kiefer, Mr. Kiefer, the husband, his plan is he's going to dress up as this kind of like, I don't know, spirit. He put on some like deer antlers and he's all like, behold, I am the prophet, panther across the sky. I don't want you to attack the fort. Don't do that. We'll come back to that in a second. So Calico Jack finally is going to rat on Marie. And he's going to Lenoir's office. And right when he gets there, Marie's there saying, he's the one, he's the traitor, he's the spy. And everyone believes Marie. No one suspects her. They pull that knife from him. They're like, look, he had a knife. He was probably coming to kill you. We see BK has been assigned guard duty for Mrs. Kiefer. And he's obviously has a crush on her. And he's kind of making a pest of himself. Finally, BK this whole time, he's been too scared to tell what he knows. He thinks nobody will believe him. But finally, for some reason, I didn't quite get it, the lieutenant presses him. He thinks, I think BK knows about this. And he admits to them. So two of the Fort Miami guys are out there in the woods. They're surrounded by these warriors. They tie him up on a tree, but then Fitzhugh shows up and scares the shit out of them. They just turn tail and run. Look how more dense these pages are than any of the other issues. I think it looks pretty good. It is weird, though, how, like, so much of his art is the sparseness. So I guess he still does it when it's important for dramatic effect. So this is the first time, I guess, finally, Mrs. Kiefer is just like, okay, I'm giving in. And she knocks on Lenoir's door, and the door closes. So it looks like they're going to get down, make love, as Queen once said. Another beautiful choreographed panel page by Lobes of Fitzhugh racing to save Kiefer. And this is, I love the humor in this page. Kiefer's like saying, oh yes, attacking the fort is wrong. And these guys are just like, just laughing. Like, they're just like, they say, hey, tell me, Great Panther across the sky, why do you appear to us speaking the white man's tongue with a white man's accent and a white man's beard? And he's all stuttering like, oh, well, because blah, blah, blah. Then these guys are just totally like, oh, look at this idiot. Are you buying any of this? And then finally, the soldiers from Fort Miami show up. And they don't know that that's Kiefer. They just think he's just another, Native American. But then while they're shooting, Fitzhugh is so fast, he dives in and snatches Kiefer from the massacre. So if there's any doubt, they're in bed together. The two lovers. And BK is devastated because it's his fault. He told them, oh yeah, this meeting's going to happen. That's where they're supposed to meet. And he's not into killing anyone. See, they got different, the letter pages look. It's got that nice Fantagraphics sheen to it. Little fan art by B. Corby. Kind of interesting, weird take on Wolverine. This one's terrible. Hate that one. And no more. I don't think there's going to be any more back cover paintings. I think that was the Fantagraphics thing. They have ads. And I love this cover of Marie. Very dynamic. Number 16. Another Gary Groth publisher note. And now we're back in Fort Miami. This is the conclusion of the whole storyline. This is a character who I think is going to keep popping up. I don't know his name, but with the goofy hair here. He's just like a typical dumb soldier. He's just a really dumb guy. So all the guys in command still don't know that Marie is the mastermind. until they open the door. They see Marie. There's a guy with a knife in his neck. She has one of those cudgels or kind of war clubs. She bashes in Van Pelt's face, pushes Lenoir aside, and runs out, attacking everyone in her path. And I love this. This is some great little choreography here. She kicks this guy in the nuts. When he doubles over, she jumps on top of him so she can leap over the fence and escape. Nice little sequence there. So it looks like it's almost, like the soldiers are pretty much just like, yeah, we think Van Pelt should lead us. But it's not like they have a coup or anything, but they're just really like, yeah, Lenoir, we think Van Pelt would be better against this Indian incursion. He's fought them before. They also don't like the idea that he's been palling around with Mrs. Kiefer. Some of them even say, like, we should throw her outside the gate. She can't contribute to the defense. Why are we wasting food on her? Because they're under siege, basically. They can't get food very easily, so food's becoming scarce. And then, of all people, is, what's his face? Let me get his name real quick. I keep forgetting these guys' names. The Luther Burke, the revolutionary who seems to hate everyone. He comes in and belittles these soldiers, and by doing so convinces them that they're being cowardly, and they're like, are you afraid to fight for the honor of a white woman? But it works, and they're shamed out of their talk and their plans. So then those kids in BK, they they have a little scheme where they're going to free Calico Jack. I forgot to mention he was put in jail. They didn't kill him, but, they think he's the main instigator here. And then, so Van Pelt finally is not necessarily in charge, but he's convinced, what's his face, Lenoir, that he's like, see, we got to do a military strike against these guys. And Lenoir finally says, yeah, you were right, I was wrong. And I guess there's this village right near the fort. I never saw this before. They live right outside the wall, a Native American village. And they basically go and massacre a bunch of people there. They burn down all their huts. Luckily, most of them had escaped. But this one guy, he's got smoke in his eyes. He sees a figure, he fires. He kills a little kid. And he's devastated. And there's a lot of humanity in these characters, some comics would just have the soldier be like, ha, who cares? I'll kill them all if I have to. But this guy's just a human guy who was just like, yeah, I want to defend my fort. But then after he kills this little girl, he's just like crushed. So BK has freed Calico and takes him to Lenoir's quarters, where he's hanging out with Kiefer, the lady Kiefer. And Calico Jack's like, I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to save your goddamn life. Because I know who's coming to kill you. And they turn off the lights, and we see the window. I like this pacing here, where they're just waiting and waiting. They hear a little sound, and a figure, a silhouette, comes up in the window. Of course, it's Marie. So this whole thing, we find out that Lieutenant Van Pelt told the guards to stand down that night, the guys on fence duty, so Marie could sneak in. They had a little pact and kill Lenoir so he could be the leader. But luckily they stopped it. So that the Native Americans are like sneaking into the fort, but then they're fought back. And we realize that Luther Burke, he realized that there's no soldiers on the fences, so he kind of organized a militia. to defend the fort. And then Mr. Kiefer shows up. And he basically says, yeah, that Van Pelt's lying. I saw the whole thing. He made a pact with Marie. Marie spits in his face, in Van Pelt's face. And he kills her right there. Just shoots her right in the face. Calico Jack lunges for him. And then we realize, after all this time, Marie was Calico Jack's sister. And so even though she tried to kill him, sent warriors after him, assassins after him, he still loved her. And that's why he wouldn't turn her in, even though he didn't like her plan. So basically the bad guys are all taken care of. They put the lieutenant under custody. And then we have an awkward page. Oh, I'm sorry, I should mention this. As Marie dies, she's still alive. She says, I feel the footfalls of Manitou. And that's basically earthquake. Because that's another prediction of Tecumseh's. And this is an interesting page with pacing too. Hans Kiefer and his wife. They haven't seen each other in months. She's moved on. I guess he's moved on. He's a wild man of the forest now. So it's very awkward dialogue. And it's almost like it rescues them. All of a sudden the earth starts to move. And now we cut away to Wolverine, who this whole time has been just out in the forest. Not really related to any of this. And this earthquake is so powerful. It throws him up in the air. And we see him landing through these branches. And this jagged patch of broken trees. We don't see his body. And that narration almost implies like, could be dead. We don't know. So there's the cliffhanger for this 5-part epic. Letter pages, more fan art. A nice little Jughead as whatever Jimmy Acorn thing. Fan art. And that's it, guys, for journey number, God, I forgot where it was already. 12 through 16? Is that correct? I believe so. Whatever. And hope you guys like looking at this. Really interesting turn of events with this move to Fantagraphics. Definitely comics taking a little turn. Not a bad one. I thought those issues looked great. But, and the backgrounds, thank God those shitty backgrounds are gone. Because those are really starting to irk me. But I hope you guys like this. I didn't like this as much as the first two ones we looked at, or first three. The Normalman issue really derailed things. And just the fact that we don't see Wolverine enough. Wolverine is such a charming, interesting, great character. I do like all these other characters, and the side stories are fascinating to me. But I want Wolverine there. So hopefully that will be corrected in the next story arc and on our next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.